Gobbler yelping, Jake yelping, all that means one thing, especially this time of year. That means fall turkey season is right here on us. Let's talk fall turkey hunting. All right, you've heard me say it in videos past, and it's still true, but I'm not going to try to repeat myself a lot in this video because you just have to go back and find some of the older videos to really understand what I mean in depth. But you've heard me say it that a good fall hunter will become a superb spring hunter. That means if you enjoy turkey hunting in the spring like most of us do, and that's your passion, if you want to become better at it, you start becoming a good fall hunter, and it's going to help you become a better spring hunter, even though we're not going to use the same tactics a lot of times in the fall that we do the spring. But you'll learn how to hunt turkeys by their sound. You'll learn how to become better at turkey vocalization because they're super vocal in the fall. But there are things that we do in the spring that we're not going to bring into the fall season. And I think because we're so used to turkey hunting one way, a lot of times it trips us up in the fall, and that's why a lot of people have a hard time in the fall because let's face it, turkeys don't gobble like they do in the spring and the fall, even though they will gobble, and even though they're still out there sparring and they're still out there fighting and they're still out there in the pecking order. But gobblers are not gobbling to a hen to attract a hen. The hens are batched up together usually. Gobblers are batched up together. So they're all kind of together in a big social group. And so in the fall, we got to call hen to hen, gobbler to gobbler. You're not getting out there and calling like a hen to attract a gobbler in the fall. You're calling like a gobbler to attract a gobbler. You're calling like a hen to attract a hen. So if you just want to go out and shoot a turkey, hen or a gobbler, either one, because it's either sex most states in the fall, you can go out there and just start making a bunch of hen sounds and kikiing and doing all that stuff we've talked about before. And it's pretty easy usually to kill a turkey once you find the turkeys. But if you're going out there to specifically kill a gobbler, remember it's hen to hen, gobbler to gobbler. Now that doesn't mean that we go out and walk through the woods shaking gobbler calls. That means we're going to do fall sounds that fall turkeys do every single day, and they even do it in the spring too, but they do it more in the fall, and that's gobbler yelping and Jake yelping. Now we've talked about that before. And so, not going to go into a great detail, but here's some of the mistakes that we make as spring hunters and we try to bring it into the fall. Number one, we use our ears more in the fall than we use our eyes. That's a mistake. We need to use our eyes more in the fall than, say, our ears. Even though we're still using our ears because, like I said, turkeys get vocal. They'll really, get fired up at times and you can hear them. But in the spring, what are we doing? We're going through there trying to locate a gobbler. We're going through there. We're calling from ridge to ridge. We're hearing them gobblers on them other ridges, and we're trying to figure out a strategy to get to him. And so we're using our ears. We get up high, we get up on a high place and we're listening, right? In the fall, it's a little bit different. I want to use my eyes more than I want to use my ears, and here's what I mean. You find the sign. Find fresh turkey sign, and you're not going to find fresh sign by looking around. You're going to find it on the ground. And so we're looking on the ground a lot of the times in the fall to find the fresh turkey sign. You find the sign, you'll find the turkeys. A lot of people will just go in blind onto a piece of public land or a private land, and they'll just start calling and, well, we see turkeys here in the spring. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be there in the fall. A lot of times, that they do use the same places if the habitat don't change. But a lot of times the habitat or the food source changes, and so the turkeys move with the food source. And so a lot of times you'll find a good spring area, and I've got that. I've got that here, where I live. My spring spots ain't worth a dime in the fall, never have been. And so you have to find the turkeys, and sign will tell you that. You want to hunt over fresh sign, not old sign. Turkeys move just like they do in the spring, but A lot of times turkeys will stay in that same area 3 to 4 days and scratch around and feed around. And where you find turkeys maybe on one day, usually you'll have a 3 or 4 day shot at them. Usually, if you don't booger them up. And so you find the sign and you set over it 2 or 3 days, and a lot of times you're going to find the turkeys. But a lot of people will forget about this and they'll just start listening instead of looking. And so we have to remember, hunt over the fresh sign. Look for that scratching that's dark, where the dirt's just been turned up. Don't hunt old gray looking scratching where it's kind of been covered up the last maybe week or so, and maybe old droppings beside of a logging road, or maybe old looking feathers from a roost site. You want to find the freshest sign possible. So remember, in the fall, we're not using our ears as much as we're using our eyes. I think another big mistake that a lot of fall hunters make, because we're so accustomed in the spring to doing this, is we run and gun. We're running and constantly calling, and just pretty much sometimes we're flying like a kind of like a runner, right? We're walking through the the spring woods, going from point to point, and we're calling. A lot of times in the fall, you got to slow down. But two, I think because it's habit, we're calling the wrong way to the wrong turkey. Like I said earlier, it's hen to hen, gobbler to gobbler. So in the fall, this is the mistake a lot of us make. We'll go out, and here's how we're calling. Now that sounds good for the spring woods. I mean, it does, and you're going to get a gobbler response sooner or later. But in the fall, I try to call if I'm hunting specifically after a gobbler, or just any turkey. But I'm trying to call, maybe not as loud, and I'm just trying to call like a turkey would be walking through the woods. Because you got to remember, they're not trying, unless they get busted up and broke apart, they're not trying to shake the woods with a call to attract over their sex drive. They're just doing turkey sounds. So that's what I want to do. So when I go through the fall woods, I'm doing little gobbler yelps, jake yelps. I'm doing just little stuff like this. So here I am. I'm walking up a logging road looking for sign, and I'll do stuff like this. That slow gobbler yelping, jake yelping, and I'm walking looking for sign. Once I find the sign, that's what I set up and I start doing. Now, if you start hearing a bunch of hens over on the next hill, or maybe you hear them, calking around, you can get out there and hen call them. You can do all that stuff and usually attract hens pretty quick by just doing stuff like this. One thing about the fall is it's really hard to overcall in the fall. Now in the spring, it gets a little tricky because we know we can overcall to a gobbler and sometimes push him off. In the fall, it's a little bit different because, they're just so they're so social that they want to get together and they want to be together. So when that lost turkey's out there kikiing and trying to get back together with that flock, sometimes a boss hen will bring 30 turkeys right to you, and this looks like a big black line coming through the woods when you start calling to that boss hen. Gobblers are the same way. When a young gobbler gets away from maybe an older a flock of gobblers, or maybe a gobbler's just got away from his 3 or 4 buddies, you start doing that gobbler yelp and start doing that jake yelp. A lot of times you're gonna get that response. He may not gobble, but you'll hear that. You'll hear that jake yelp or that gobbler yelp back to you. That's when you want to sit down. You want to get ready. So remember, you got to call right, and you're not getting up calling spring type calling. You're calling fall type calling. So hen to hen, gobbler gobbler, and a lot of times, if we'll just remember that, not make the mistake of calling like we do in the spring rather, we're going to kill a lot more fall turkeys. The third mistake a lot of turkey hunters make, because we're just not accustomed in the spring so much to think about it, and so it comes over into the fall, but it's a big mistake, is we forget about food source. In the spring, I don't really so much pick a property or pick where I'm going to hunt according to if there's food around. I'm going to pick that spot where I'm hunting in the spring based on them gobblers and where they're gobbling at. Now, the food's probably not very far away, but I'm not really looking so much at an area going, oh, well, I'm not going to hunt here unless, this is here, the cornfield's here, the milo field, because we've all done it. We've called gobblers 2 or 3 ridges over from their food source and kill them. Maybe the food source is on another property, but we've called them off the property over to us because, again, of his sex drive, and he wants to get with that hen. All right, in the fall, that's probably not going to happen. They're pretty much going to stay right around that food. So we really got to be self-conscious about food source. And I don't know what that food source may be on the property that you're hunting. Maybe it's an acorn flat in the timber, deep woods. Maybe it's a cornfield or a bean field or a milo field. Maybe it's just a big old grass field where they're out there picking insects and stuff like that. But you got to find the food source, and the sign will tell you that. So you find the food source, and you're going to find the turkeys. Now, the turkeys, you may not hear them, or you may not even see them when you first get there, or maybe you might hunt there 3, 4, 5, 6 hours and maybe not see them around there. But I guarantee you one thing, you hunt there long enough, them turkeys are going to be back around that food source. In the fall, it's about food. That's where they're spending the majority of their time. In the spring, it's a little bit different. They're in their strut zones. They're up on these ridges walking. They're gobbling. They're trying to attract the hen. And so you find the food in the fall, you're going to find the turkeys. But a lot of times we forget that in the fall because we're so our mindset is spring hunting, and so we're just looking to hear turkeys. We're going out there just calling turkeys and looking to hear and get an answer back. And a lot of times you don't get that answer back, but if you'll find the food and you'll sit there and you'll hunt over it and you'll just keep calling, even if you don't get a response, you just keep calling, doing them sounds, doing them sounds that we're talking about. You start calling that way, and sooner or later you're going to find them turkeys, or maybe that 2 or 3 longbeards that's going to come slipping into that field, and you're going to be able to take one. So remember, it's not so much about listening for them like in the spring. It's about finding the food. We cannot forget about the food. Food is everything in the fall. So I think them mistakes right there, a lot of times that works in the spring, but they're mistakes in the fall. If you'll take them 3 things that we've talked about, find the fresh sign, call the right way, and don't forget the food, your kills in the fall is going to go way up. And I'm going to tell you something, fall hunting can be a blast. It really can. Like I said, I don't do enough of it. One reason is because I just don't have the properties anymore that holds turkeys in the fall that I have access to. But if you know where turkeys historically stay, or maybe you're out there deer hunting and you're seeing turkeys quite a bit, never ever forget about fall turkey hunting, especially in them days in bow season. If you're a big bow hunter, where it gets hot and muggy and the deer's just shut down, they're not moving. You don't want to go in and booger your best spots up. That's the best time in the world in them old hot muggy days when the deers ain't acting right. Grab your shotgun, throw you some turkey loads in, get your turkey vest out and your calls, and get out there and have you a blast. And you will become a better spring hunter just by becoming a good fall hunter. So remember that, and I guarantee you something, your fall turkey hunting experiences will go way up and you'll be more successful. Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Just hit that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it. We're going to have lots of more content, bow hunting. Maybe we'll have another turkey hunting video out maybe in a couple weeks, or maybe we'll have a fall hunt. Maybe I'll get out here and do some fall hunting. We'll get a good fall hunt on camera for you. We're going to have bow hunting, action, gun, deer seasons right here on us, and so we're going to be, we're really going to be pumping out the content, Lord willing. Also, come over and join my Facebook page, like and follow it. The link's below in the description. Just come over and like and follow my Facebook page. Check out DaleOutdoors.com. Also, if you are interested in some great turkey calls, especially my signature series, box call and mouth calls, go to springfevercustomcalls.com and you'll find the Matt Dale signature series mouth call and the old slide box call. and you'll find them there as well. Also, take a moment and check out SOSO Outdoors. That's a new partnership that we partnered up with. Just the link is down below. Just go over and like and follow their Facebook page. Check out their website. It's a social media hunting platform that we're just there to celebrate the American hunter. And so share your pictures, share your success stories there on SOSO Outdoors, and I'm sure that you're really going to enjoy that as well. So, you know, like I said, just stay tuned to all the content that we've got available, and be checking for future videos, and get out there and enjoy yourself this fall. Stay safe and shoot straight, and we'll see you in the next video.